live.
Yo guys, what's up? Welcome to On the Offense with right now Star Scarlet and what are you going by? Because I know your username isn't actually like Skeletor, like what you would go by nature because you change that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go with me. Just call me Connor. To be fair, because that's my name. You might as well just call me that.
Are we gonna make this an uploaded or kind of just like a border, like a?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna upload it.
Well, I was gonna say we've already started off bad. We should probably just made this kind of like that. Set. What should we do better? What should we not do again? What should we work on? Blah blah blah. I kind of just
Oh,
repeated myself in 3 different ways.
oh, this is a really interesting topic anyway because like we're talking about Texas gun laws, but one thing I learned this week about Texas that I really loved is you're allowed to stop a sexual assault of you or another person with lethal force.
I think you can do that anywhere. I
I know,
mean,
like specifically in Texas. In other places, like there's like mandates and restrictions, but like in
if
Texas, if you see somebody getting sexually assaulted, you can blow their skull out. Like you can
if
blow
I
the
have,
attack skull out.
I'm just saying, if I'm getting sexually assaulted, and even in like a liberal state, as I said, Michigan, for example, where their gun laws are doo doo fart, um, if I'm getting sexually assaulted and there is security cam video or just picture evidence in general of me pulling out a gun and shooting the person that is sexually assaulting me dead, and I have to go to court, I should have no problem in court with that. Like, here's the evidence of this dude, girl, whatever gender, non-binary you are. If they're doing it to me and I don't like it and I have to use lethal force, I should have no problem in court saying I killed this person because I'm getting butt fucked illegally.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
that's
for real.
I'm
that's
not
a
the
good
one doing the
topic
bad thing
actually.
here. They are. They're dead. They paid for their crimes with blood. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
those.
hate
I
the U.S.
mean, sorry,
I
you
hate a
go on.
lot of U.S. things. All right, I hate a lot of U.S. like places because it's like they're trying to get away from like somebody being murdered, but sometimes like violence is actually the solution. Like nobody wants to admit that, but sometimes violence completely works.
Yeah. Seriously, at the end of the day, for the person committing the crime, the person defending themselves from the offender should not get charged. Simply, I don't know why that happens to people. This guy pulled a gun on me, knife on me, tried to rape me, sexually assault me, tried to lure me into a van with candy, ice cream, whatever. If I sense a threat and they're posing a threat, I should have no problem in court knowing that I just fucking killed a person because I'm just trying to defend myself and they're the criminal at the end of the day. And some states are still like, well, you fucking killed him, you murdered him, like blah blah blah. I don't know the exact protocols of this shit, but if there is fucking like just concrete evidence, there should be no problem. So riddle me this: why in the United States have there been cases of people giving concrete evidence that they had the right to defend themselves, therefore killing the offender and still getting put in jail? What happened there?
Yeah, that's pretty messed up, honestly. Like, why should anybody catch a manslaughter charge or anything like a murder charge for self-protecting? Like that should be a thing. Like, you should be able to defend yourself,
Yeah, like
and if somebody else needs it, you should be able to defend
states
another
like
person.
yeah, states that have like castle laws and stand your ground laws. I know what was it? Some guy he lived in a state that had stand your ground laws and still got arrested for murder after I think what happened a person stole something off their property, therefore they shot them. I don't remember if they shot them dead, but they shot them. Yeah, I think I even though I think I just said for murder, I don't know if they actually got killed or not. But stand your ground laws for anyone that wonders, because a lot of people think castle laws and stand your ground laws are the same thing. Not true. Castle laws mean you can defend yourself with lethal force within a building that you own. That's what castle laws are. You can use lethal force against an offender within a building that you own. Stand your
Oh,
ground laws are defending a property you own with lethal force. So that is um on the outside, like on your lawn, like what happened with this dude. Someone stole something off their lawn. He went outside and shot them. I can't remember off the top of my head though. If stand your ground laws also apply to inside, because castle laws are specifically, from my knowledge, inside. You have to be inside a place you own, or at least have some sort of registration towards. Because some people have said you don't own the building, but you work there. Well, it still applies. If you legally work in this building and within a state that it still has castle laws, you can still get away with it because it's in a place that you work at. You have the written paperwork saying I work here. Not that that implies you own the place at all. As I said, you work there, but it is still your right to defend the business you work for. Of course, I think anyone would say that. I work at. This is just really simple, really kind of funny though, because fuck McDonald's. But I work at a McDonald's. Guy wants to rob us. Well, shit, this is a place I work at, and he's trying to rob us. So fucking kill you. I don't want my job being lost over some dumbass like you. But
Dude, that brings me up to like a really good topic to like go along with this conversation because like, have y'all been like, did y'all follow like the whole Boogie 2988 thing?
yeah,
It doesn't actually ring a bell, to be fair.
Like,
explain it to him. I don't exactly know, but I know generally what happened.
okay, so this guy was like harassing Boogie 2988 and like a YouTuber, and like a state that has stand your ground laws. This guy was like threatening him, saying he was like going to rape him and all kinds of things. And like he went to like Boogie 2988's house, and like Boogie got charged because he fired a round into the air, but he wouldn't have gotten charged when if he would have just shot the guy. Like
Yeah,
I'm not,
and
yeah, it's,
that's where more problems start because he didn't actually kill the guy. Therefore, it's really awkward that you can't get around that because this is what the law says. The law, in all intents and purposes, states you can shoot them. You can't shoot the air because the assumption is, I mean, if you're not actually going for lethal force, then you know then I think what his charge was, I think what I heard was, disturbance of the peace because he does live in a casual rural American, neighborhood. So, if you have neighbors on all sides of you, shooting a bullet into the air is, going to spark a lot of 911 calls. Because for anyone that actually hasn't actually heard a gunshot in person, because most people have heard gunshots via video games, videos, and through that it's very suppressed due to editing. But if you hear one in real life
It's loud.
without any sort of hearing protection, it's noticeable. Because I'm sure at some point someone has heard an air horn in person or a train horn in person. Yes, they're loud, but you know even I mean, once you get up to like 9 mil 45, that's way louder than a air horn or a train horn. I don't know the decibels, of course, because they can vary, but it's noticeable.
So it's probably as loud as like a United Kingdom siren or something. Like when you'd hear like an ambulance or police vehicle, they are loud, especially if they go
Yeah,
off right next to you.
yeah,
yeah,
but I guess to give someone who has never actually heard a bullet, maybe you have heard a bullet before, but you had ear protection on, or haven't heard one in general, just to give basically the poor man's, description of, let's put it as a small caliber, as I said, like 9 millimeter 45 ACP. Imagine like maybe just like 10 fire trucks, sirens all at once. It is just the amount of noise just stirring through the air all at once. Even though at the end of the day, that noise is never actually going to go above the decibels. Like decibels can't really go up the more there is. They stay constant. There's just a lot more of it. It's still going to be the same feeling in your brain as one bullet going off is really loud, but in really quick succession. A lot of sirens and a gradual succession, eventually it'll be the same feeling. It's just so loud and there's so much of it all at once. Because I'm sure a lot of people at the end of the day can say, I at one point in my life, a fuck ton of sirens have gone past me all at once.
Oh
Literally
yeah.
the other week I was driving I was driving to school. I was driving from school to my another school, the volunteer fire department training facility, whatever you want to call it. But I was driving to it, and like fucking 12 state cops are just fucking flying past me, and it's awkward because I mean I was on my motorcycle, so I was already having to like kind of have the rumble of the engine kind of just going through me at all times, even though motorcycle helmets kind of some are made to have the noise cancellation, some aren't. But just the mix of motorcycle engine and 12 state cops going by all at once,
Yeah,
it
it's
it
definitely.
fucks with you. You really get a little bit discombobulated. And to top it all off, like a minute later, I think like 6 fire trucks came past. Just had insult to injury, and I maybe like 5 or 10 minutes later, like 3 or 4 ambulance went past all at once. I'm just like, I remember at the end of that ride, I kid you not, I got off my motorcycle in the parking lot, and my ears were still ringing from that. I legit couldn't stand straight for like 10 minutes because when you get that like that very like that static buzz in your ear.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Imagine that, but just I don't know how to explain it. Just louder. Imagine that like slight buzz, but like louder. I don't know to what.
Yeah, like firing a gun in a tunnel.
Not that loud, of course.
I get.
Firing gun. One thing. The reason why you're asked slash just supposed to wear hearing protection at indoor gun ranges is if it wasn't obvious enough, it's a fucking echo chamber.
Oh yeah, like when we was like firing down range at the military, like it was so loud, even with ear protection. Like I don't know
Oh
if you've ever
yeah.
been. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever been to like a military gun range, but like you can feel the concussion in the air.
When I went to visit my some family members who do in fact live down in Texas, we went to this gun range, and there's to not to our knowledge, like not like we need to be informed that there's people firing full auto there that day. We were just going down there to have fun. We walk in, and we walk in, and with most gun ranges, they don't like automatically ask you as soon as you walk into the front door, like, hey, you got to put a hearing protection on. So we were like, why the fuck is I'm not lying. As soon as we walked in, this guy just gave us ear pros. Is and I was and he was, and my uncle was like, what are these for? And he doesn't say a word. All he does is he turns and points at the window that looks into the range. There's just 3 miniguns just mounted onto one of the range desks or whatever they're called. They just have
Right.
3 miniguns casually mounted to the desks, and I remember my uncle just looking at this guy and just giving him, like, the most sarcastic smile. I was like, "Oh, that's fucking why you're giving us ear, bro."
Say no more.
I was like, "Yeah, literally, say no more." Not even, like and I remember the really awkward part about that was we were just kinda looking through the, shelves, just seeing what because of course we're allowed to bring their own like, my uncle and aunt, they own a fuck ton of guns because Texas. But I was looking through the shelving encounters and just like talk. I'm just trying to talk to the clerk about some things, and just like every like 10 seconds, all you hear is just fuck's sake, I'm trying to talk to the guy here, and it's just buzz, buzz, buzz.
God, that's crazy. Like, I feel like you could just like occasionally just hear like sound go out and stuff just because like how loud it is.
I find it funny, like Texas gun ranges are like Gmod Dark RP servers. Like they're just so fucking random. You have no idea what's gonna happen as soon as you walk into one of those motherfuckers. Just no idea. Cause one time, I walk in, as I said, there's just 3 fucking gats mounted in the gun range. I remember literally the next day after where we went back, like I was down there for 2 weeks. I shit you not, every day of those 2 weeks we just went in because fucking why not? Guns are fun. Literally every day was just completely random. One day, as I said, I walk in, there's just 3 miniguns, like the ones they have mounted to like the side of Blackhawks or Hueys. The next day I walk in, there's just a guy walking through like the front corridor of the building with just 2 RPGs.
That's great.
The other day I walk in, same thing. There's just like a guy with a small and another guy with a javelin just casually talking to each other as they're walking down the hallway. It's just I don't know what the fuck's going on in Texas, but it's just weird and weirder. I think the last day was the weirdest because the last day we go into the parking lot and there's just 3 Abrams, just 3 M1 Abram, specifically M1, not M1A1. Ooh, excuse me, or M1A2, just M1. Like OG M1 Abrams
Yeah,
sitting there.
classics.
There were 2 Shermans. Um, they had the gun and mounted to a trailer in the parking lot of one of the T95 super heavy tank. For anyone that would be watch this, I'm sorry, listen to this podcast that says the T95 was a tank destroyer, I'm gonna politely ask you, don't listen to our podcast again, please and thank you. You're stupid. It was a super heavy tank. But if you guys don't know what the T95 is, look it up. But the gun of that thing was just big chilling on a trailer in front of the building.
That's fucking great, dude. I want to go to Texas now. That just sounds like heaven for like
Oh, it is heaven.
firearms.
Once you get out of the city, I mean, Texas cities are just fucking stupid. Don't go to the cities. If anything, pro tip, at least with a majority of cities below the Mason-Dixon line, don't live in the city. Just if you want to live around it, go ahead, or live within an hour of it, go ahead. Because it's either you live like within a 15 or to hour like commute around any like city, or just don't live near the city in general. Because I swear to God, once you live within like fucking Houston or Austin, it's just a shit show. If you live in Miami, I feel bad for you if you're just not filthy rich. Um, then again, Tampa's kind of exception because Tampa's kind of probably from what because I've been all over the South too. Tampa's pretty chill. Tampa's
Yeah,
relatively laid back. Um, New Orleans, shit show. Between Alabama and Mississippi, the stereotypes couldn't speak for themselves because as a person who lives in Connecticut, I just don't care about to talk. I just don't care to talk about those 2 states because I've been there. Worst states I've ever been in. Besides really low fucking taxes, like you'll meet like a really nice old timer. Just they have the greatest stories. They're really nice, and then you'll just meet like someone, just some beer belly dad, mid-40s, just a complete fucking douchebag. No offense to all the mid-40s beer belly fathers that maybe listen to our podcast one day that live in Mississippi or Alabama, but if you know you're the ones that I just described, f- take that as you want to take that. Be that insult, compliment or just as a grain of salt in general. I don't care. I don't fucking care. No one fucking cares. At least what I think. Um, the Midwest. I can't remember what states determine the Midwest, but if you're from the Midwest, I'm sorry, you're just not the Midwest. You're the Corn West. Accept the fact you are the Corn West.
Corn West.
You're the Corn West.
That sounds like
Maybe
Montana.
maybe even the Soybean West. But Corn West sounds funnier.
I really like
Between
Montana though. Like Montana, like you can
I'm not gonna call that the Midwest. I think
yeah,
between
that's
like
the Midwest. That's like
it
far west.
far west, yeah, like Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota. Um,
Potato land.
that's Idaho, really. Idaho is potato land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's like yeah, there's a whole lot of difference between like places that are like tourist attractions and then like the actual locale of the area. Like it's like the difference between like going to, like Houston or Dallas, Texas compared to like going to like the further outskirts towns that like let you fire mini guns off of desks.
Literally. Yeah, I think North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana, I would like classify as far west, far northwest. Washington and Oregon, I'm just gonna say they exist. California, I'm just gonna say is the West Coast. Yes, Oregon and Washington are West Coast, but they're just one of those states you just genuinely won't remember at the end of the day unless you live there or have something to do with that state. Um,
Yeah.
Nevada, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona and Texas, I would put into their own shit. I would call them just kind of the fuck you and relax type of states. It's either you're there to relax or not. You just go around saying fuck you. That seems
Uh,
prevalent.
Dude,
Um,
I feel like the reason like Arizona's a fuck you state is because like most of the time you're saying fuck you, it's to the wild tarantula like roaming on the side of your house.
yeah. Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma. One day you have a nice field full of beautiful cows, the next day trees are ripped out of their limbs, no more cows, and the tornado just went through. That's those states. Um,
That's Indiana.
Iowa. Yeah. Uh, actually, I'll put Missouri there too, and that's only because of Joplin. That's literally the only reason why I put Missouri there. Otherwise, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, Illinois. Sorry, Illinois. I don't want to piss off the people from that state. That's that. Minnesota and Wisconsin and Michigan, kind of like Washington and Oregon, they're just there.
Yeah,
Um,
I used to know that I used to know a guy that like lived in like Michigan that would casually like walk down the street carrying a sword.
sounds like Michigan.
Yeah,
Um,
it's wild.
Ohio, I'm just sorry if we have any Ohio listeners, just fuck your state. Your state has no. Your state just has nothing. It's like
It,
corn, but you're not a part of the Corn West.
it has Cincinnati.
It has Cincinnati and Cleveland, I guess. I mean, fucking when I say Cleveland, who the fuck thinks of Cleveland, Ohio? People probably think of that show. They probably just think of the show Cleveland.
I think of like
Um,
MGK because how many times he's like yelled Cleveland on stage.
yeah. Just otherwise, I'm sorry, Ohio, but just fuck your state. Um, Georgia, I don't like peaches. I'm sorry, they're not. I don't like that fruit. You guys got some cool military bases. Yeah. Florida, self-explanatory. North and South Carolina, honestly, funny enough, those states are, I'm not going to say polar opposites, but there definitely are a lot of fucking differences between those two states, kind of specifically political differences. Take what you want off of that description.
Dude,
Um,
I trained at Fort Jackson in South Carolina, and like, if I have any description of the state, is how do you enjoy having sand in your ACUs all day?
Virginia, kind of also self-explanatory. I think Virginia is the least boring state out of the boring state category. If I were to make a boring state category, Ohio is definitely number one of the most boring fucking states. And then I don't know what to put in between Ohio and then Virginia because Ohio's number one, Virginia's last. And if you're last place in the most boring state category, that means, as I said, you're thus the least boring of the most boring states. West Virginia is only West Virginia is only like a cool state because of that John Den that because that one John Denver song, yeah. Um Maryland, Maryland crab. I like crabs. I don't know if you guys like eating crab, but Maryland got good crab. Washington D.C., District of Columbia, call that a state, call that a district. Um I don't know how people feel about it besides it's the United States capital. Delaware, honestly, I'm split. Do we need Delaware or do we need Ohio? Or should we just get rid of both states?
We should put them together and just call it one thing.
Alright, I'm gonna
Ohio.
hop back in here quickly just to say, like you're always like, oh, you don't want to trigger anyone. This is supposed to be like a controversial podcast anyway, so
Controversial slash just we make jokes.
yeah.
Yeah, like
So if you're
yeah,
going to go across like any controversial topics, you can talk about them here. Just try to keep
It,
the sexual content to a minimum because that really goes against like guidelines of one Discord because we're using that and we're hosting this publicly. So we're currently doing it live over Discord for anyone listening
well, I mean,
to
we
this.
already like talked about how we're in support of Texas being like open with murder against like people who sexually assault others.
Yeah, but
well,
that's
it's
not
not
really
that
sexual content, to
that's
be fair.
well, I
There's like
know in the name it literally says sexual assault, but at the same time, at the end of the day, do you really want to call something sexual when it's just an illegal act? Like there's no reason to think about it sexually because it's just a crime. When has someone thought of a crime to a sexual like standpoint, I guess, besides being a hooker?
yeah, like prostitution is obviously a sexual crime.
Yeah.
Um Back to the states list. Um what was I? I was at Delaware. New Jersey.
Fuck
I don't
them.
know. I
Nah,
mean,
nah, nah. Like one of the streamers I follow on Twitch. They do like a Link to the Past stuff on uh, like a Link to the Past randomizers for like tournaments and shit. He's from New Jersey, so I couldn't say anything bad against him. But yeah, fuck New Jersey. To be fair.
Yeah, Joe Oaks is a dude I went on stream with
I'm
before.
getting a call, guys. Hold on.
All right. Like I went on stream with like Jersey Joe at one point and like just done Smash stuff. Like he's all right, but even like he was explaining like how he got shot in the leg with like he got shot in the leg, and I was like, okay, this guy's cool, but like fuck the surrounding area.
Yeah. But yeah, gun laws in the US they seem to be just all over the place. Um, I mean, like, if we look at the UK, for example, I mean, a lot of people in the US, I'm guessing, educated people will think, "Oh, guns are banned in the UK." In some sense of that's true, but we do have very heavy gun laws. So um, you have to have like certain licenses to operate certain firearms. They're quite. I'm pretty sure that you're with your standard one, you can really only have lever action hunting rifles uh, and revolvers. But you can own air weapons without a license, which is pretty weird if I do say so myself, because air weapons are still as dangerous as normal weapons.
Yeah, yeah, you're right there. Like, I still have a stern belief that medieval weapons shouldn't be outlawed by any means whatsoever and be able to be like carried by open carry law.
Yeah,
Like, I should be able to walk down the street with like a sword if I
that
want
would
to,
be
because
fun. You just walk down the street and challenge someone to a duel.
dude, dueling should be legal, like with medieval weaponry. Like that should
Yeah,
just be an underground thing. Like if somebody gets murdered and after agreeing to a duel, that should be counted as like a murder. That should just be counted as like
he lost a
that
duel.
person. Yeah, he lost a duel.
That really brings in like natural selection. It's the people, it's like the people the strongest or the people who outsmart their opponents win.
Yeah, like in a normal like fight, like people who are untrained, it's always like the stronger person that wins. But if you have like practice in combat, like it doesn't matter if they're like bigger and stronger than you usually overwhelm them. But
Yeah,
like yeah, when you add like dueling to like a scenario in like the U.S. where like murder is illegal and apparently defending yourself is too, like if you just put that out there that like if I challenge you to a duel and and you agree to it, I could legally kill you. It changes like the whole dynamic of how like people act because a lot I ain't gonna lie, dude. Like a lot of Americans are entitled.
yeah, I can see that. There are a lot of Americans that are also uneducated. Um, just look at your entire anti-vaxxer community, your minor attracted people community. Look at Twitter.
Yeah,
Um,
dude.
I,
Twitter
I
is a
know
set.
we're probably going to get cancelled for this episode if people find out about this and then go to Twitter about it.
How they gonna like? What are they gonna do? Like, try to cancel us on Twitter, and
What they're
at
going to
worst
try
we
to do
get
is cancel us on Twitter. Yeah, we're not going to tell them.
yeah,
We're just going to tell them to fuck off. This
yeah. This
show's
is
supposed to be controversial for a reason. I can't speak today. COVID's hitting me like a brick. In the brain, that is, not anywhere else in my body for some reason.
yeah, like yeah, like people on like Twitter are like the most entitled people. Like I was watching a YouTuber talk about like this woman that like it's like the writer of like Captain Marvel, how and she said if you don't believe in my politics, don't buy my book, and they got upset when nobody bought her book. And it's like the guy was explaining that like people on Twitter don't really understand like how life works because they see everybody like arguing and doing like all the social justice stuff on Twitter, and then when they go into the real world, nobody acts like that.
Hmm. Yeah, it's because with most Twitter accounts, you got the anonymity of I can say this and nobody's going to find out who I actually am
Yeah,
unless somebody doxes you. Um, but like we look at like the whole cancel culture as a whole. It really needs to stop because it just doesn't get anywhere. Just to quote PewDiePie, they're evolving but backwards.
oh yeah, I can understand cancel culture when it comes to like people like Onision who are like child predators or EDP 445. But like half the time somebody gets canceled because they didn't apologize for hurting someone's feelings, and it's
Hmm.
not illegal to hurt someone's feelings.
Well, from the way the way society's going, apparently it looks like it's going to become illegal to hurt someone's feelings. Because I mean, you look at the whole. I'm going to get I'm about to get controversial, super controversial here. If we look at like the LGBT community, like they get really butthurt if you call them the wrong pronouns. I mean, like, bitch, I'm going to call you the pronouns that you were born with if you haven't gone through surgery. Even still, the surgery itself, if you're using neo pronouns, I'm going to laugh at you. Um,
Yeah.
if like I'm literally going to say it's like, look, everybody, this person uses neo pronouns, and I was like, see, no one cares. We're just going to call you by your she or he or they. Um, but even they is a stretch for me. I'm not trying to say I'm transphobic. I'm just not a whole fan of the whole community. I mean,
Oh
uh,
yeah, I can understand like them getting like they want to be like defined as their own thing, but like it's making it super confusing for everybody else.
yeah, not just that. But like if you look at now, like, if you look at how many people are coming out as trans, some of it seems like, oh, a lot of people are starting to think, oh look, being trans is trending, so I'm going to become I'm going to declare myself as trans to get like attention and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's like Gay Pride Month when so many artists like come out as like gay or something just to, like increase their sales, and it's like, yeah, no, not really. Like afterwards, like, guess what, guys? Turns out I'm not gay.
Yeah, it's also like a
Like,
lot of people are like, oh, a lot of like we look at back in like I think it was 2007, there was like one gender reassignment, well, gender clinic, I'm just going to call it, in the US. Today, it's like there's over 300 in the US, which I feel is
I'm back.
unnecessary.
I'm back. That was the dumbest phone call.
Alright then, I won't pressure
So what
you. What'd you miss? We went from talking about gun laws to ended up talking about the LGBT community. Um, I mean, like a lot of the times with cases of gender dysphoria, they can't always be treated with gender reassignment because that causes a lot of long-term health issues, such as a weakening of the bones, heart problems, frequent intense regrets of having the surgery. Because a lot of the time, gender dysphoria is most likely someone is either extremely homosexual or severely autistic, or both.
hey, would that also like trigger body dysmorphia?
Yes, it most likely would. I'm not a licensed medical professional, so don't quote
Yeah,
me
no
on any of
question on that.
this.
But
Uh,
yeah, it kind of makes sense that like you wake up without your penis, it's gonna
um,
like trigger you. It's like this
yeah,
conversation.
it's like
and I'm getting another call. Oh, fuck's sake.
All right.
all right. Well, we look at. I mean, I fit under the LGBT community. I'm bi. I've had attraction to me. I've had several attractions. Times where I've been attracted to a male. But uh, it's like I'm not a fan of the LGBT community, considering how toxic it can be. Like it's as bad as the LGBT community is as bad as. Oh, sorry, that was my phone dropping. Um, it's about as bad as Twitter, to be fair. Not just that, like if
LGBT
you
sexual Twitter.
pretty much, but like, and then we'll look at like genders. Let's have a look at how many, like just how many goddamn genders are there. Um, because like a lot of people say, oh, there's a difference between sex and gender. I'm gonna put it out here. Gender and sex are the same thing. It's just a lot of people have see as the socially constructed nature of gender is um, oh, it's different from your biological sex, because it's like, okay, then I identify as an Apache attack helicopter, then if that's how you're going about it.
That reminds me that like my gender
There's
on Facebook is set as to like my gender on Facebook says I'm a table.
um, but yeah, it's ridiculous now. It's getting out of hand. Humanity. This is just natural selection at its finest. The people who are going to go this route are probably just going to die off, and the people who are straight will probably continue to live.
Yeah, I mean like being straight kind of vibes with the fact that we have to reproduce.
Yeah, like everyone who's straight has the burden of reproducing for the rest of the humanity. Like, I'm not going to
Yeah,
have it's going to get to the point where it's like they can't reproduce, so they're going to force people to reproduce for them, and it's just going to it's going to get out of hand. I mean, at this rate, we might as well just give men we just give them the ability to like to actually develop the womb the undeveloped womb that's inside them, so they can just asexually reproduce. But then you end up with a clone, well, an army of clones of the one man.
yeah, it's just one dude running shit.
Yeah, ends up like being
Like,
like a hive mind or something.
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, if I could test tube baby myself, I would start on an army today.
Mm. But yeah, I agree. Well, the LGBT community is fine. They just need to stop being so bloody toxic towards people. Um, if I were to like look at, if I were to say like, oh, like people will put in the chat, will people responding to this will probably call me transphobic for saying this, but I myself am not a massive fan of the transgender community because of like it's fine if you're trans, but you don't always need to like. I recommend that you seek therapy because a lot of the time when you claim you're trans, you're not. Everyone says, "Oh, like if you've got severe anxiety over your body, that's not transgender. That's not a sign that you need to be transgendered. No, it's a sign that you need some therapy. You have a mental health condition that needs to be diagnosed. Well, you may have an undiagnosed mental health condition. That's not gender dysphoria. Um, you might need to actually seek professional help because not everything is as simple as I'll be fine if I just get gender reassignment.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. Like, before like deciding like you're on like that line that you're trans, you should at least like go through and like check. Like that should be like the first like steps is like go to a therapist, check, make sure you're not like undiagnosed, and that's like that's your actual like you actually are trans and not just like have some kind of mental illness, sickness, or like some kind of like any kind of thing that's actually like making you not think clearly on the subject first.
Yeah, because we look at it. Have you ever heard? Have you ever seen any of like Francis Aaron's work? Well, works. Uh,
No.
oh well, he's a guy on he's a guy on YouTube who covers topics like this, um, mainly in the form of raps. But uh, you can learn a lot from it if you actually do research into it as well. Like there's been like a lot of gender clinic referrals as well. Um, don't quote me on any of this. I've not got much. I've done research, but not as much as I should be to be fluent, or not fluent, competent to talk about this and like give like proper stuff. But I'm going through what I've done research on so far. Um, but we look at like people could call it, oh, that's conversion therapy. That's the same thing that people tried to do to the homosexuals, uh, like before being homosexual was legal. Like it may be conversion therapy, but you're the ones who are wanting them to convert their bodies. At least
Yeah.
at least conversion therapy would actually be more beneficial for them in the long run. Um, until scientists develop that drink, not or the pill, whatever it was, that like can literally recode your genome so that you're over time, so that you become a woman, a woman for like a week. So you take them twice a day for a week to see how you like being a female, and if you don't like it, stop taking them, and then you'll gradually revert back to being a man. Until we have something like that, I don't think people should be living like trying to go undergo gender reassignment because it will cause them nothing but problems. Because like if you look at what the hormones do to you, like for as men, we all have like XY chromosomes. Um, but if we were to start pumping estrogen into us, it would start weakening our bones and causing like heart problems in the long. If we use them for prolonged time. Prolonged time? No, for a long time. If we were to use them for an extended period of time, it would eventually lead to us having severe heart problems and probably osteoporosis.
Oh, yeah, that's like a definite like health concern. Like if a man like undergoes like gender conversion therapy or whatever, like it starts taking estrogen, like the lack of the body producing testosterone is like hellish on a man. And
Yeah,
like people really don't understand that. Like I've seen people use steroids and be unable to produce testosterone, And pretty much like I've had an explanation from a guy that done it, and he messed up like his his testosterone. Like his body doesn't naturally produce testosterone now. And he said
Yeah,
like within the months that he doesn't have testosterone, he feels like he's dying.
yeah. That's why I said earlier that it can lead to intense regrets of going through with the surgery. Because I mean, like, if you have like, if you're going from male to female, you literally have your not literally, you have your as you go under what I'm pretty sure it's a penile inversion. Like they invert your penis, and then it's really complicated, and it's really unnecessary, to be fair. Um, like, and then you get hormone blockers as well, which are just completely unnecessary, because like if you're say you're like, because I've seen quite a lot of things about like American parents giving their children hormone blockers. I'm like, they don't know how detrimental to that is to the child's development in the long run. Because if you look at if you gave that to a man, well, if you gave that to like, let's say you gave that to a 9-year-old boy who wanted to become who thought they were transgender, if they decided that no, this isn't for me, they would be fucked in the long run. Like, because they basically stopped their puberty, um, like, and during puberty, uh, you experience a lot of changes. Like your penis grows, your balls, not balls, testicles also grow in size. With hormone blockers, it stops that happening, even if after you stop taking them.
Oh yeah, that's like if you
That
interrupt
just
puberty like
imagine that you're 24. I'm just gonna put you call you out for this. Like, say you're a 24-year-old man, and you
right.
still have the penis of a 9-year-old. How would you feel about that?
Honestly, that would be like a blow to someone's like self-esteem and
Yeah,
confidence.
that would be a massive blow to your self-esteem. This
It would just be
is
like
the
that would be a burden on mentality in general.
yeah, um, and it's the point where uh, it gets to the point where, oh look, uh, if they have gone to the point where they're going under gender reassignment, it's the point where they have to actually graft skin from different parts of the body to actually make it work properly. Um, in my opinion, this is also the same opinion that because I've had several discussions with this with my dad as well. But you should be at least 21 or 18 to make this, depending on the country, to make this decision. At least I'm pretty sure that's what it is in the United Kingdom. I'm not sure what it is for the US.
I think you have to be like 18 or something, like a legal adult, like to make your own decisions like
Yeah.
that.
Like I I don't know what the age of consent is in the US. Is it not like 18 or something?
It's gradually 18 over most places, but like some places it is actually as low as 16.
Yeah, well, the UK over here is 16. Uh, I'm 17 here. Just still virgin. I don't expect to. Uh, I will expect to stay that for a couple of years. I don't really care. Um, but you should be a legal adult or have reached the body part where your body is mature enough for it to actually not have as as uh, as a negative effect on it as it would if you were like a 9-year-old trying to change their hormones, because your body still produces the hormones like testosterone and estrogen, but in incredibly small amounts, even when you're young.
It's like trace amounts that like pretty
Yeah,
much line your body out ready to actually take like start producing a lot more.
yeah. And also, I'm also gonna say, like, you're I've seen lots of arguments. It's like, oh, if you're a man, like testosterone causes the trachea to become thicker, and it's like so they might not have the voice they want. that's a part of life. Just deal with it. Stop being such a fucking pansy. You don't get everything you want in life.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
it's like saying, "Oh, I was born a man, and I wanted to be a girl. And I'm not happy. I want to be a different gender." Okay, then by your standards, I get with what I'm about to say. It's like, oh, okay, so tell that to someone who lives in one of the poorer African countries. They didn't get to choose their place of birth, yet they still have to deal with it. I get that eventually, if they manage to, which is incredibly unlikely, if they manage to get to the point where they can actually leave their country legally without immigrating to another, well, becoming an illegal immigrant and coming to somewhere like the UK, where it actually puts more burden on us, because we have the government actually taking more care for its immigrants than it does on its actual citizens. But they don't, most of the time they don't get to choose their where they live. They're stuck in that country for the rest of their lives, no matter how long or short it is. And that my point being for this is like you don't get to choose your gender, well, your sex. So
physiology.
so you just need to either stop complaining about being that, or live with the consequences of becoming transgender.
Oh yeah, that like makes me want to segue into like another topic that like majority of like the problems with like a whole lot of people right now is just they're sexually frustrated and like it's making them make dumb decisions.
Yeah,
Like everything just kind of bases around like people trying to like get the opposite sex or how they feel about society and attraction. And then like whenever you like throw everything into the mix together, like with a person's sexual preference, needs, wants, and what they think of themselves, it starts becoming this. It becomes instead of becoming like a cocktail of like emotional spewage, it becomes a Molotov cocktail. It just burns everything down and starts scattering things out to the point to
yeah,
where people are very confused about themselves.
yeah, and that in terms could lead some people to believe that they are gender dysphoric.
Yeah, like it's just like to understand that like people don't like for some reason like don't understand that like sex isn't everything and like your viewpoint of yourself is actually kind of minute. Like just do whatever
Yeah,
you want. You're a living
I mean,
being. Do whatever you want, but like don't overthink things when you're
it's your
miserable.
life. Do what you want with it. But if you end up regretting it, then that's on you. It's we didn't tell you to change. We didn't tell you that you were gay. We didn't tell you that you were transgender. We didn't tell you to go undergo gender reassignment. But,
Yeah,
but
it's the thing that like
it's
people are like getting so like caught up in it they don't realize they should think for themselves and figure it out first.
yeah. Right. I think that's enough content we've got for this episode.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It's been a
Yeah.
pretty good discussion. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. Uh, so, um, yeah, we'll see you all next week, I guess. Uh, and before we end the thing, this stream is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Um, right. And you all know what Raid Shadow Legends is, I guess. So, yeah, be sure to check that out.
Or just raid the bug poison spray.